Hello, good people. How are you doing? Mambo VP, my name is Esther Mombe and I'm here to welcome you to Esther Light Show. It's all about good vibes. Of course, remember to subscribe, remember to share, and to leave a comment. What's up, good people? How you doing? Mambo VP, my name is Esther Mombe and welcome to Esther Light Show. If it's your first time to be here, karibu sana. Finya ile kitu, remember to subscribe, and if you are a mwenyeji maze, thank you for keeping up with Esther Light Show. It's always an honor, it's always a pleasure. And maze, thank you for the previous video that I did about the story of Tamar. The feedback were overwhelming, and I really appreciate the support and everything. And of course, as I told you people, we are doing this segment of unlikely women in the Bible who changed eternity. And of course, I told you unlikely women. Of course, that means people who... women who people did not believe that anything good will come out of them. And in one or another, we have so much of those in our society, in the society that we are living today. Sometimes we feel we are not good enough because of probably things that we did in the past, or things that we are going through now, you know, and because of social media and the pressure and everything, we tend to compare ourselves with other people who probably are going through tougher things than us, only that they show us the good parts, and we tend to compare ourselves and feel that, oh my goodness, we are not good enough. Okay, so basically today I'll be doing the story of Rahab. I know most of us are familiar with the story of Rahab, and Manzena enjoy it. This is fun. So of course we are very familiar with the story of Rahab. So let's start. Let's get into it. Let's dive into it. Yeah, so the story of Rahab. So we will start with Moses. We all know Moses. Moses, by the grace of God, Ali rescued the children of Israel from Egypt. They were enslaved in Egypt and all that, you know. And you in way back, the brothers of Joseph, venye Joseph alipatiwa authority and all that, wakaanza kuishi huko, and eventually they became slaved kwa sababu venye watu walienda wakikufa nini yao inaitwaje, their names started fading away, you know. So of course hao wote wakakuja wakakuwa slaves. The Israelites wakakuja wakakuwa slaves in Egypt. So Moses is sent by God to go and rescue the Egypts from Pharaoh. And he rescues them by some very mind-blowing miracles. We all know about those miracles. We read that in CRE back in primary and high school. Primary. Yeah, we read all that. So yes, akawatoa, and they lived in the wilderness for like 40 years. And of course they lived in the wilderness for a very long time because they were disobedient to God. So they lived in the wilderness for 40 years. Yes, that is way too long. They lived in the wilderness for 40 years, and because of disobedience, they really rebelled against God. Because of that, most of them died. In fact, they all died. What walibaki was Joshua, Caleb, and Moses, and eventually Moses died. So the only people who managed to go to get to the promised land was Joshua, Caleb, and now the new generation that rose, you know. But everyone who was a slave in Egypt, hawakumanage. They all died, they rebelled, they perished, name it. So now this is where we get to know Rahab. It's really interesting how God knows each and every one of us, and your life is not like anyway. Before I formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. You know, God knows each and every one of us, because just listen to this story of Rahab and you'll know what I'm trying to say. Okay, now let's get to Rahab. Rahab is a very beautiful ladies. Canaanite women were pretty. They were beautiful. You know, their hair, how they looked, you know. They were beautiful. So of course she was from a humble family. She was from a very humble family, a pagan's daughter, you know. So babake akamwa kumpeana kwa the king to be the king's prostitute. Of course she did not want that. It wasn't out of her own will, but what could she have done? She was a little girl, and the dad wanted to be partaker of the advantages that he will get when the daughter is sleeping with the king. Of course, and Rahab was like, then what? You know, I'll be sleeping with the king, then what? He cannot marry me. He doesn't want to marry me. The king already has so many wives. So it's not like he will marry me. If he could end up marrying her, it could have been something. But he does not want to marry her. He just wants a prostitute who will be sleeping with her to quench his thirst. So Rahab was really feeling that the dad wasn't being fair by doing that. So they kept arguing and not being okay with each other. But the dad kept begging her to go so that he may get the advantages that comes with that, like being forbidden from paying taxes, acquiring lands, things of that sort, because my daughter is the king's prostitute. So what could she have done? She went, and of course she started sleeping with the king, and with time she decided to be wise, because she was like, once I quenched the thirst of the king, then what will happen to me? I will probably go back home poor, and at the same time with no dignity, with no name, ashamed of myself, with everything. So because it's what will happen, because I'm already sleeping with the king, let me go back home with something. Let me see how I will acquire wealth out of this sleeping with the king, of course. So once she was sleeping with the king, she could just catch a conversation with the king, and she noticed something. She noticed that the king really wanted the information about what was happening outside the walls of Jericho. Remember, the Israelites are coming to the promised land, and this Ukwivi Jericho Ndioko promised land that God had promised the children of Israel. So of course the king does not want to surrender his kingdom, so they had built very tall walls. They had an army, they were ready, but at the same time, in as much as they were so much prepared, they were scared of the Israelites, because they had heard of how the God of Israelites was helping the Israelites win battles, overcome battles. They fought the greatest of kings and they won mysteriously, how he dried up the sea. The stories were very much known, and they were spreading out, and they were really, really scared. Maze, So of course he wanted to know what is going on. Are the Israelites coming? How far are they? So that they may be prepared. So Rahab akajua, king anapenda sana information, si ndio? So akaanza kulala na spies wa king. So aketisha, in fact, this is what she did. She said that she wants a house in the eastern gate, at the wall of the eastern gate, so that she may be seeing what is going out and coming in of Jericho. Then she will be bringing the information to the king, of course. So any spy who goes out to spy about what's going on outside the walls of Jericho and coming in, she could call him, and they sleep together, and of course as they're sleeping together, she's asking, getting information, collecting data, then she could take to the king before even the spy does. Okay, so she really gained a lot of trust from the king. And also wakilala na yeye walikuwa wanamlipa, kwa sababu this is the king's prostitute. It's a big deal, big deal, king's prostitute. And she was becoming wealthy, because once amepelekea the king the message, anything that she wanted, the king could offer. So now she had a house, a very huge house. She had a lot of wealth. She held, name it, she was very wealthy. Rahab ended up being very wealthy, so that is what she was doing. She could go sleep with spies of the king, get information from them, take it to the king. The king could trust her and all that. The king could trust her with some very sensitive information and all that. So out of that, akajua in one way or another, before people come to attack a city or whatever, they send spies. So she could stay in the wall, in her window, kwa hiyo wall, a very high, her yake ilikuwaga very juu, kwa hizo walls, the eastern gate, and she could see everything going in and coming out. So alikuwa naka hapo trying to identify if she could ever see some people who look in a certain way, like ni kama hawa si huku hivi around, because what she wanted is, she wanted to be just free from that kind of lifestyle. She never loved it. And also she had heard about this God who parted the sea, this God who rescued the children of Israel from the Egyptians in very mysterious ways. The frogs, the blood, the water turning into blood, the killing of the firstborns, as in it was mysterious. So she had so much belief in this God, in as much as she didn't know much about this God, And it was really interesting, because alikuwa interact na king, sana, alikuwa hadi nalala na king. So of course alikuwa anaangalia how the king is fearful of the Israelites, yet tuko hapa tuna worship Canaanites gods, tuna worship our own two gods to make, you know, man-made gods. So she had lost faith and interest and belief in these gods, because I mean a whole king, you know, you should be the one who has faith in these gods zenye tunadhani hizi gods zinafanya kazi, and because he is the king, you know, afe kwa kiogopa, but ye mwenyewe king mwenyewe is so scared. So kama king mwenyewe wako so scared, wengine watatoa faith wapi? You know, so of course alikuwa lose interest in the those two gods and all that. So I believe, and she had so much, she had, I don't know what I'll call it, but she really wanted so bad to know this God of the Israelites. She really wanted to be a part of this God of the Israelites, you know. Okay, moving on swiftly. So of course she was sleeping with all these people and all that. So turudi sasa kutena kwa Israelites. So Joshua, God commanded Joshua to send spies to Jericho for them to go and spy before they go and attack. So Joshua calls Salmon and Ephraim. So Joshua called Salmon, and Caleb called Ephraim. Then he gave them the instructions, what to do, what not to do, how to go there and everything. Then they will come back with a report. They go and spy, then they come back with the report. Salmon was very charismatic, you know. Even before Joshua tells him why he wants to send him, he was like, I'm ready to go. I am ready. Kwa sababu first things first, you have trusted me. You have trusted me to do something. You want to send me somewhere. He was so happy about it, and he really wanted to prove to Joshua that, you know what, I am young, I am strong, and I am ready, you know, to go as the Lord has instructed you to let me go, you know. So wakambwa waishi and all that. So of course their journey to there wasn't as easy, but they managed. And again, Rahab was still kwa window yake, you know, trying just to see and to look and to see and to look days after days. She was so determined. She wanted to let go that kind of lifestyle, because she knew they are coming, and she knew if she doesn't save her life in this God of the Israelites, she will perish. People were low-key having some trust in the walls, because they said they were saying how the walls were so tall, and they had a very strong army, you know, and they were armed and name it. But she was like, oh my God, you guys are joking. Did you not hear what these people did? Did you not hear how they killed mighty kings? Did you not hear how Jesus performed a miracle for them? How God was feeding them in the wilderness? What is wrong with you people? What makes you think their God will be limited by walls? What makes you think that the God of Israel will be limited by any of these whatevers you guys are so much prepared with, you know? So she was very determined to see in one or another how she will just be free from, first of all, that kind of lifestyle that her dad forced her to be into, and also to be free from the destruction that is coming to Jericho. So when she was there, she noticed some very young men coming in the gates of Jericho. So eventually Salmon and Ephraim, they dressed like the Amorites, ndio wasikuwe able kukuwa identified sana, you know. So they dressed like the Amorites, and they came to the walls of Jericho. So unakumbuka venye nimewambia nyumba yake penye ilikuwa imesetiwa, she could see everything, you know. So she called them. She's a prostitute, so her calling them, I mean, nobody's even anashughulika. Hiyo ndio kazi yake, you know. People get to the gate and they call her, they show her gold and things and all that, and she will tell them to come in or no, you know. So first of all, what made her realize that these people are unique, it's because they did not have interest in her. Because most men who were coming in, who came like spies, they always had interest in her. They could just come, and first thing before they even do anything is they want to sleep with the prostitute Rahab. But these specific ones, they did not pay attention. They were not paying attention to her, and that was that stood out. Rahab was like, there is something unique about these people, okay? So she started calling them, but of course they were not interested. They just kept ignoring her, and now that made her want to call them even more, because now deep down she felt, I believe these are the spies. These are the Israelite spies. And also at the same time she wanted to save them, because she knew wagepatikana hivyo ndio hiyo story yao igeisha, na hivyo ndio hata jiokoa, you know. So hey, acha hapa nikae desperate, acha hapa nikae fala, kwa sababu she never used, okay, she's a prostitute, she never really used to call people because she was beautiful and she was well known of her work, you know. So when any man comes in, goes straight to her without her having to beg. In fact, she never begged before. If she called, she has called, you know. If she says no, she has said no. But this specific one, she's begging, so that is still unique. I mean, she beg what aje before, you know. So they were shunning her. They atawataki story, but she kept being insisting and all that. Even she told them, I have bread and wine, you can come to my home. And one of them was like, you know, we do not have anything to pay for your services. And she was like, I did not give a price tag, I did not say anything of that sort. Anyway, she insisted. And of course the soldiers at the gate, they started paying a very interesting interest. Wakaanza ku pay interests on these specific guys, you know. But she tried to be wise with it. She tried to blow kisses and to speak in a very romantic way. Ndio our soldiers waone, ni hizi tu stories za kwenda kushughulikiana huko hivyo juu, nothing else. So by the grace of God wakakubali, na they went. So she went down. Okay, they asked how they can get there, so she told them the direction that they will come. Then she went down to meet them. Going down to meet them, she met some king's soldier who she also sleeps with and all that. So he was jealous. He started telling her, oh, I never knew you bent too low, you can sleep with these people, da, da, da. But at that moment she doesn't want to care. She knows what she's trying to do. She's trying to save her own life, you know. So she took them to the house, and then immediately when she came in, she was like, I need to hide you guys. I'm very sure the soldiers have sensed something is off about you two people, and they'll probably be coming for you. So akawaingiza kwa roof, akawapandisha kwa ladder, akawapandisha kwa roof. Of course Ephraim was a little bit not for it. He was telling Salmon, we should kill her, we should just kill her. How we even believe in a prostitute? This is a prostitute. How do we think that our life will be safe in the hands of the prostitute? But for some reason, Salmon had already started having some interest in Rahab. He was already seeing the figure, he was already seeing the beauty and all those things. He wasn't paying attention to the fact that she's a prostitute, you know, and he easily trusted her. And it was like, he was telling Ephraim, no, Joshua told us to come, spy, go back. We were not told to shed any blood, so we are not going to kill her. So of course akawaficha hapo hivyo. And after later that night, the soldiers came, and the soldiers were like, you need to bring these people out because they are Israelite spies. So eventually they knew. The soldiers knew, the people who came in and Rahab called them, they were Israelite spies. Then Rahab was like, oh, I don't know. Oh, really? They're Israelite spies? Okay, I really do not know. After we finished whatever we were doing here, they left and they went to a certain direction. So you can go to that direction before they go far. So the soldier commanded the rest of the soldiers to go. The chief soldier commanded the rest of the soldiers to go that direction and to make haste so that they may catch up with them and all that. So of course she went back and she told them, okay, their soldiers are gone, you're not safe. They came down from the roof, and she tried to offer food, but of course Ephraim was not for it, because I mean we can't eat in a prostitute's house. How she can even what is it called, she can even poison us and all those things. So she started narrating to them how people are scared, of the Israelites, and she started asking what their plan is and all that. And she said, you know, we have heard about your God. People are scared here. We are really, people are really trying to be ready. And Salmon and Ephraim were happy for the fact that they knew that people were scared of them and all that. People were scared of their God and all that. So she offered food and all that, but they refused and they had to leave because now things were really getting messy and all that, and probably the soldiers could come back and find them there. It could have been risky. So Rahab asked them, because I've shown you kindness, I have saved your lives. Would you please save my life when the time of destruction comes? Would you please save my life with my family when time of destruction comes? Then Ephraim, I don't remember if Ephraim really replied anything, but when they were leaving, because they could not, of course, pass through the door and all that. I told you again, where Rahab was living was walls, walls. So through a window, they could just go and disappear. So she tied a rope, and they passed to the window. Ephraim went first. Then before Salmon went, he told Rahab, just leave this rope here hanging here, so that when the time of destruction comes, we'll be able to identify you first with your family. Just make sure your family is in here, and anyone who will be inside this family, inside this place which we are leaving this rope here as a mark for us to know that specific house we should come and rescue people who are inside there will be rescued, and that is my promise. And he took an oath. Rahab was like, please take an oath and all that, and he took an oath, and he left. He also went through the rope, and he left, and Rahab left the rope there, and she was happy. She was named. So they went back, and when they went back, this is now the most interesting part about this story. When they went back, of course, Joshua asked them how everything was, and they said, everything was nice. They've built walls, and Ephraim was like, there was a prostitute who saved us, and akatuweka kwa nyumba yake, protected us, Okay, it was saying that in a very sarcastic way, because again, he felt a prostitute. A prostitute, But Salmon was like, no, it's a woman. She is Rahab, and she saved us, and I took an oath that I will also save her when time of destruction comes. And Joshua was like, you took an oath? Of course, Salmon was a little scared of that, but he said, yes, I did. And Salmon was like, okay, let the will of God be made manifest. Allah, and that was it. So even Ephraim and Salmon were like, wait a minute, were we really sent to be spies, or were we really sent for another agenda? Because as much as I'm concerned, these people hakuna data wame collect, as much as I'm concerned, they are not even in a space where, tell us more, what do we need to do, how do we need to structure, how prepared are they, how name it. No, nothing. Nothing of that sort. What happened? That's it. And then after Mesema took an oath, Joshua kumtetesha, is that what I told you to do? You are going to say how you'll save people. We don't even know how we'll save ourselves. No. That is why I'm saying, enyewe, before God created each and every one of us, he had a plan for us. Because that is exactly why Joshua sent Salmon and Ephraim. Probably Joshua did not know this is the specific reason, but God knew. The specific reason was for them to have an encounter with Rahab, and for them to end up saving Rahab. Nothing else. Akuna ati could spy nini. What are they spying? And God already had a plan for them, how they will win. They will win and have their promised land, the land that he promised their ancestors. So this is so interesting. Literally, God sent spies for the sake of Rahab, not for the sake of doing any investigation whatsoever. Moving on swiftly. So Caleb had a little conversation with Salmon, and Salmon say how he has a spark for this lady, how he's feeling something for this lady. And Caleb was like, she's a Canaanite woman, and Canaanite women make people turn their faces from God and end up not serving the real God again. But he was like, no, this woman is different. She does not know God, but she believes in a God that she does not know, just because she has heard of the stories. So this woman is a woman who wants to be part of us. Only that she does not know even how she will be, and I like her and I love her. I would want to marry her and all those things. Caleb for some reason was like, okay, but he was like, first things first, let us first win this battle, then the rest of the things we will consider. So going back to Rahab, days went by, and time ya destruction ika approach. So people wakakuja, the people who were living outside the gates of Jericho, they were ushered in, the gates were open, people came to hide and all that. So the family of Rahab, of course, because they were living outside the gates of Jericho, they came in bearing to gods twao, to mungu twao, wealth yao yenye wanadhani ni wealth yao, did everything. They came and they lived with Rahab. So Rahab kept telling them, we will be saved, we will be protected, this rope is here is a sign of this house is the house that they need to come and rescue the people inside this house. So just relax. And of course she was being mad because now the her parents have brought those two gods, and she didn't have none of those gods in her house. She didn't believe in those things kabisa. So of course she was mad of the parents, but what can she do? Ni wazazi wake na nataka wote wakwe rescued, hataki kuacha any of them. So the day of destruction came, the walls of Jericho, the gates of Jericho, people were hiding and the gates were shut. People were just there. So God had given some instructions to Joshua that he will give the children of Israel for them to go and for them to win the battle. And so the walls of Jericho, this is how the walls of Jericho fell. So Jericho was tightly shut because of the Israelites. They were afraid. So they were afraid, and they knew they are coming. They're on their way coming. So the gates were completely shut. So these are the instruction that they were given. They were told to march around the city once with all the armed men for 6 days. So 6 days they could go, all of them, they could march around the city. Your city yenye ilikuwaga iko na walls. The walls were so tall, like almost like 6 times the normal height of a man. They were so tall, they were so firm. So also they were told to have 7 priests carry trumpets of rams, horns in front of the ark, and on the 7th day they should march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing the trumpets. Alafu, once a long blast on the trumpets sound, have all the people give a loud shout. Ya mwisho ilikuanga a very long blast on the trumpet sound, and all the people to give loud shout. Then that is how the wall of the city collapsed. Literally, they did not fight. They did not, come with swords and I don't know what, and helmets and I don't know what. No, they simply were given instructions to follow, to go around the wall 6 times, once in 6 days. And the 7th day, the D-Day, oh my goodness. And the 7th day, march around the city 7 times. That's the 7th day, they were marching 7 times with the priest blowing the trumpets. Alafu blow moja hivyo ya mwisho ya trumpet, alafu wase wapige manduru. Hizi ni kelele za nini, hizi ni kelele za ushindi, tumepigana vita gani, hajapiga amepigana Bwana sio sisi. Literally that song, Jesus literally alipigana vita for them. They were told to just give loud shouts and they will be good to go. And the walls of Jericho fell. So of course, once the wall of Jericho fell, there was so much destruction because that was a city mazee. Kulikuwaga na buildings, kulikuwaga na good things, nini. So the destruction was massive. So of course they were running. Then Joshua called Salmon and Ephraim and reminded them, you took an oath, go back, save the family of Rahab. So awana budi ikabidi wamepiga about turn wakishia, and they found a section in the house of Ephraim, in the house of Rahab, and not fallen. So of course that was an easy way for them to go. So they went and they saved them, they helped them, and they rescued them from the city that was being under destruction. And akawapeleka kwa tents zao, walikuwa kuna place walikuwa wanatulia the Israelites in the tents. So Salmon and Ephraim akawambia mnaweza tulia hapa nini, and they went back to be with the other Israelites. So they were left there. So Rahab was just crying the entire time. Rahab was crying. She was crying, and the father and the mother could not understand why she was crying. In fact, they were excited. They were like, oh my goodness, you have saved our lives because you are a brave woman. You have saved our lives. Then she kept telling them, I've not saved your lives. God has saved your life. God has saved your lives. God, it's not me, it's God. And she kept crying. And they kept asking, why are you crying? Are you crying because the city has been destroyed? At your house has been destroyed? Ati mali yako yote, she was wealthy. Mali yako yote imekunywa maji your design, as in, is that why you're crying? And she was like, no, you guys still don't get it. Do you know how much we do not deserve to be here? Do you know how we do not deserve even to be alive? But this God of the Israelites has still saved us. She was so overwhelmed. Rahab was overwhelmed by such a merciful God, because she felt she is not deserving of this kind of favor. She does not deserve to be spared. She was a prostitute, name it. She does not deserve it. And the family yake imekuwa spared, na ni watu pia wana worshiping gods, hata hawaamini huyo God hata kidogo, in as much as amewasave hata hawaamini, but still God was still merciful maze. So she was really, God was really overwhelming Rahab. So eventually Joshua came, Joshua, Salmon and Ephraim, and akawambia. So when they saw them, they bowed down, all of them. So Joshua was like, bow to God, not man. And they were like, thank you for saving our lives, thank you for saving our lives, thank you for saving our lives, and all those things, thank you for saving our lives. But Nani was like, I did not save your life, God did save your life. So choose, what do you want to do? Do you want to live here, or what do you want to do? So of course the family of Rahab said that they want to go back to where they used to live, Kitambo, because now the city is destroyed and all that. So they want to go back where they came from long time ago. They want to go back there and just live there. And he was like, as you wish, you're released, you have our blessings. Joshua hakuwaga na issue na wao, yeye alifanya kazi ya Mungu, could spare their life because they took an oath, and that's it, and their lives were spared. So whatever they want to do, let them do. But Rahab was like, I do not want to. Then she was asked, what do you want to do? She was like, I want to be part of the Israelites. I want the God of Israelites to be my God. It does not matter what it takes, and what it takes I will do it. But no, ignore her, she's stupid, she's silly, she doesn't know what she wants, she's just a stupid woman, she's but she was like, no, I know what I want. And her head was bowed. She alikuwa ameinamisha kichwa when she was talking to Joshua, because she badly wanted to be part of them. She never wanted to go back to her old ways. She never wanted to go back to being a harlot. She never wanted to go back to do some other things that she used to do to get money. She wanted her life to change for good. So Joshua akasema, if that is what you have chosen, then that is okay, you remain. So she remained in those tents, and the family went where they came from. And then after like 3 days, Salmon went to talk to Joshua, and Joshua was like, go check if she will still be there, because unajua walimwacha for like 3 days. Sijui ilikuwa test ama nini, kuona kama atachoka ama atarudi. So eventually Salmon akarudi, akampata bado ako hapo hivyo peke yake. Food alikuwa nayo ilikuwa amemaliza, kwa sababu sasa agenda to the 4th day agaanza kustarve, but she was still there, she was still waiting. She badly wanted to be part of them, and she could do whatever it takes for her to be part of them, to be part of the Israelites, so that she may be able to worship the God of the Israelites, because that was her desire. That is everything that she ever wanted. She was so tired with the Rahab that she used to be. So Salmon akakama akamwambia, oh wow, you're still here? Yeah, I'm still here, and all that. So they started having a conversation, and Salmon was like, I want to marry you, and she laughed first of all, and she was like, Marry, but you look young, you look young. And do you know me? I'm Rahab, I'm the prostitute, I'm the king's prostitute. Like, kama umenisahau, let me remind you. Oh my goodness. Sometimes what the devil does for most of us, when God assigns you to do something, you start reminding God who you are, or the devil starts reminding you of your past, so that you're not good enough, and ukose ku attain what God wants you to attain. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, no, I'm Rahab, the king's prostitute. You cannot marry me. I cannot have a husband. I've never thought of such a thing. All I did is sleep with people's men. And Salmon was like, yeah, you are Rahab with a past, but a bright future. You are Rahab with a past, but a God who has fought for you and wants to give you a better future. Of course, she didn't believe it, and she was a little hesitant because she felt she's not deserving and all that. But they ended up married, actually. They ended up married, and God blessed them with one son. Boaz, and we all know Boaz. Boaz was a rich man who married Ruth. Ruth, who was daughter-in-law to Naomi. So yeah, that is the beautiful story of Rahab. And what I learned from this beautiful story of Rahab is sometimes even when we are not deserving, God will still be merciful. Because honestly, Rahab was not deserving. And I mean, her story ilikuwaga ya happy ever after. You know, a family, she ended up with a family, she ended up being part of the Israelites, she ended up being the lineage of Christ. Because Ruth, ukisoma lineage, wanakuja kuna David, kuna Solomon, kuna alafu sasa Jesus, kuna Joseph, alafu sasa Jesus, you know, alienda kukua kwa hiyo lineage. And she was not deserving. But because we serve a God who does not judge as men do, God still was faithful, and God still fought for her, and God still saved her family, you know, and she became a child of God, you know, and she knew more about this God, because of course she was not married to someone who knows God and not worshiping the idol gods, you know, not worshiping idols. And what that was her desire all along. In as much as she didn't know who this God is, she desired that God, and eventually God came through for her. So Maze, when you desire God, he will come through for you, even if you do not know, even if it's blurry, even if it's kwa sababu yeye idea ya God ilikuwa blurry, haikwanga as black and white, you know, but bado alibelieve ikiwa tu blurry hivyo. Little faith is that of a mustard seed. He'll tell the mountain, get out and be casted into the sea, and it will be so. And that is the story of Rahab, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had fun. I hope you have learned. So of course, remember to subscribe, remember to share, remember to comment, and remember to give this video a thumbs up. See you on my next video on the story of Ruth, who is now the daughter-in-law to Rahab. Adios muchachos, asanteni sana.